JG Invest here. So we're going to be going over Marathon today. So ticker MARA. We're going to be talking about our entry position, where it's currently at, how it's been performing, how it correlates with Bitcoin. Full disclosure, we don't invest in cryptocurrency, but we are investing in blockchain. That being said, we like to mitigate risk, and we think by being involved through Bitcoin, through the blockchain, it causes a little bit more stability there. So we're going to talk about our entry point. I think we started buying the stock when it was about 26, 27 bucks. And it's been doing great. That being said, we have been in and out of the stock and selling on the highs and repurchasing lows just because of the market fluctuation with Bitcoin. We're going to address some concerns about the CEO selling some shares and how many shares there were. To get into that, a while back, I think it was like end of January, he sold about 100K shares at 48.65 for a total of 34 million. So that's about 15%, which is quite a bit. What a lot of people don't realize is that was given to him as a bonus structure. So, I mean, you've been working in the company for a long time. You're the CEO. Your salary is obviously nowhere near that price point, and you're just given this lump sum bonus. You can't blame the guy for selling shares. And I know the look of it, of the CEO selling shares, isn't great, but people kind of just jump all over that news and go with that rather than taking a look as to where the shares came from, the reason for selling, and so on and so forth. So a lot of important factors to look at. It was a bonus structure. He did want to cash that in. Currently, as of right now, it's sitting at 43 bucks roughly. Let's double check right now. 43.05 is what MARA is sitting at, and then after hours went up to about 43.23. So we've had really good positioning and re-entries. That being said, the stock is a little bit more volatile because it does follow Bitcoin. So let's talk about what MARA does in comparison to other blockchains. One, we like the price point stability. It's not as high as Riot, but it's not as cheap as like your SOS, your XNet, and things like that, which have way more volatility and they don't have as much cash on hand. That's why we've gone kind of with the midway with MARA. So other things that they've been doing, I mean, a while back, they did a partnership with Jonas, which, it's been a rocket since then. It's not specifically saying that it's because of this reason, but obviously it's a contributing factor. And it's always nice to see that they are investing and going into partnerships with people that are heavily involved in Bitcoin. Jonas is actually a Bitcoin developer for those that aren't aware. A while back, they also did some work with Coinbase. Now, we're obviously watching for when Coinbase is going to be IPOing. We're going to be going fairly heavy into that as well. But this video is not about Coinbase, and we're just waiting for when it hits the market. That being said, seeing MARA working with individuals and focusing on developing, it's great. So with Coinbase, they invested into two other developers. One's unknown, one, the name was released. The other factor, Bitcoin has been testing the 60K mark for like a month now. It's been touching up and touching down and going back and forth. So we've kind of been taking advantage of that. But typically when, crypto is a little bit different, but when we see it touching a ceiling multiple times, odds are there's an indicator that people are getting more and more interested and it's eventually going to break up. So that's why we're still in. We have a price target of about 65. There's multiple price targets out there, so we're being a little bit more on the conservative side of 65. Our stretch is 80, but we always like to factor in and focus on what our initial price target is. So we do believe that it's at 65, and this isn't including a bunch of factors that we're going to talk about now. I've made some notes here, and we'll try to go through everything really quickly within a timely fashion. So we're looking at a new article that came out by Investor Place. Now you have to take these articles with a grain of salt, but there is some actual good information, factual information that's in here, and some things to take into account for future growth of this stock. So as of March 18th, they announced that the stock's worth about another 83%, so around $70.60. Mars generated about 254 Bitcoins during the Q1 duration recently in mining operations, which is good. It's really good, especially if you factor into the growth, and we'll talk about where those price points could end up. So as of right now, they also do this with about 90% margin, which is great. 90% margin is fantastic, and they can actually close the gap a little bit more. Their margin's really low solely because of the amount of kilowatts they use, and if you factor in expansion and they're able to mine more, they can close the gap on the margins. Another advantage is their low power costs. It's about 2.8 cents per kilowatt hour, which compared to some competitors, depending on their location, can get very costly. So headquarters based out of Quebec, kilowatt hours is a little bit less. They're not spending as much. Cash on hand, which I was surprised about, is about 219 million. With expansion, they can potentially improve that margin, and they have the cash to do it. So factor that in. If Bitcoin does double, now this is all speculation, so we're going with just the double factor. You know, there's some people that are saying Bitcoin's going up to 300,000, 500,000, blah, blah, blah. We're sticking to around that 100K mark to 120K mark. We can factor in that with current numbers, they'll be doing about 6 million per year, 6 million per day, and then about 2.1 billion a year. That's based on the current evaluation of what they're generating on Bitcoin, multiply that factor, and then that's how we're getting those numbers. So we are going to be holding this stock, but we are going to be going in and out multiple times. The problem with this stock is it is very volatile. So you know, on any given regular stock, if it's down 4%. And if Mars having a bad day with Bitcoin, you'll see like 8 to 9% down. But it's on the flip side, it will also be up, 8 to 9% in a day when all other stocks are only up 2 to 4%. So be careful with that. You do have to factor in it is very volatile. It will fluctuate quite a bit on you. And if you can hold true to that and not worry too much about it, then you're okay. But keep in mind, don't freak out when you see those dips. So for example, present value of $70.60 is about 68% above today's price. That's what Investor Place has its target at. If Bitcoin doubles, the effective price, today's price is 440%. So it's a huge jump. This works on the downside as well, guys, which is what we were talking about, that market in volatility. With Bitcoin testing that 60K ceiling multiple times, we are thinking that we're going to see a break up soon. So we are factoring that in. As far as working with Coinbase, we have a little bit more comfortability with the stock. It's not as expensive as Riot. A lot of people are favoring Riot just because of price point and how large they are in comparison. But as far as their margin and as far as kilowatt hour production, from what I've noticed, it's not as strong as Mara. So as Mara grows, there's a lot more upside to it. So conservatively, we're thinking about that $65 price point. We're just doing a quick intro today on what this stock is. We're not going to go too crazy into everything. We just want to share kind of a quick snippet about what we're seeing and what we're looking at. And with the breakthrough of 60K on Bitcoin, we think we're going to see quite a bit of a jump. We're thinking that we're going to hit 50 fairly soon. And it's hit 45 recently. It's hit 48 in the past. So we're thinking it's going to jump up, especially with Mar focusing on more and more development and expansion. They're going to be generating way more. So that's where we're at right now. We are going to do more in-depth deep dives on this stock as we go along. but we did want to share a quick little video about Mara and how well it's been doing for us, and give you kind of a quick snippet of why we're so heavily invested into it. And then we'll go from there. So the quick little information, we wanted to share what happened with the CEO shares, even though it was a while ago, just because I'm sure a lot of you are going to look into the stock and see that there's been insider selling, so we wanted to share that information as well. Again, do your research, look into it. I'm not a huge investor in cryptocurrency, like I said, but if we can take advantage of a stock that's heavily involved with it, we'll do that. And we'll go from there. Other than that, we just hit 100 subs, which is fantastic. You know, if you can subscribe, that would be great. I think 80% of viewers are not subscribed, and if you could like, that would be great as well. You know, these videos do take time, so we are going to be posting weekly. The target goal is to about 3 videos a week for now, until I can focus on this a little bit more. But we'll do another update in about a week's time or so, and then we'll show kind of like our entry positions or our sell positions with the stock in the next video. But other than that, thanks guys, take care.